All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Friday, and it's a big Friday. It is a big Friday for the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously, technically, it's not the end of the offseason yet, but we are getting right up to the end of it, and starting today, although more so, I guess you could say tomorrow, but the next couple of days here, we're going to start to get a lot of information to work with because training camp is just about to get underway. Because today is the day where all players on the Seattle Seahawks must report to the VMac. So last week we had the 17th, which was the day by which all rookies had to report. Today is the day where everyone must report. So we are just about to get underway here. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And let's talk about training camp a little bit here. So, kicks off tomorrow, technically. I don't know if we're going to hear that much today. I think the main thing that you would typically hear about today is who is holding out or maybe holding in, basically who is kicking up some dust about their contract. And I don't think Seattle is likely to have anybody kicking up dust about their contract. So we don't really have to worry about that. There are definitely a couple teams out there that might have to deal with a contract situation, although holdouts are not as prevalent as they used to be. But either way, Seattle not really dealing with that at the moment. Obviously, you've got the Devin Witherspoon stuff, and maybe there's a little bit going on with Leonard Williams, but it doesn't seem like either of those guys are stirring stuff up. It doesn't seem like either of those guys are disgruntled. I'm sure they want new contracts, but there doesn't seem to be any animosity over it. So we don't really have to worry about that part of it. So today, really, I think, is all about who is going to go on the PUP, if anybody else. The PUP, the physically unable to perform list, every team has players that go on the PUP in the lead up to training camp because every team is going to have players that, for one reason or another, are not physically able to perform. We already have 5 players on our PUP, most notably Nick Eamon and Zach Charbonnet. And today is the day where everyone will have reported by the end of the day. Obviously, most of the veterans, or at least some of them, have already reported in previous days, but today's the day where everybody gets in. So theoretically, if anybody else needs to be put on the PUP, we're going to know by the end of the day. So I'm keeping an eye on some things like AJ Barner. I'm keeping an eye on Elijah Arroyo. I'm keeping an eye on maybe 1 or 2 other players as well that we know are dealing with some injuries right now, just to see if anybody else goes on. But if we get through today, that's obviously a good sign. So that's the main thing about today. So starting tomorrow, let's talk about training camp a little bit, one that actually kicks off tomorrow. Tomorrow, open training camp, by the way, people can go and watch. We're going to get a lot of coverage of the first day of training camp from the beat reporters, and I'll be here handing off whatever it is that I hear. I'll be here talking about anything that we manage to get our hands on, and it's going to be great. We're going to be doing maybe even more than one video every day where there is a training camp session that features information of value being passed along. So, going to be fun. We've done this a few years now. We've definitely had plenty of information coming out of these training camp sessions before. This year should be no different. Even though we may not have as many questions about the team as we might in other years, there's still stuff we want to see, still stuff we want to hear about. Can't wait. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer, best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. And by the way, for anybody who maybe doesn't remember or never looked at the training camp schedule, you can see 25th, 26th, 28th, 31st. So 3 dates for the rest of July here. And then August 1st, August 4th, August 5th, August 7th, August 8th, which is Football Fest, which is always fun because they do the mock game. And while I've never actually been to a Football Fest before, it's pretty easy to get in. So if you have the opportunity to go to Football Fest, definitely check that out. And then August 13th. So at the minimum, we should get some good information on these days. Now, the kind of information you get is not necessarily going to be 100% bulletproof. It's not going to be totally trustworthy. It's going to be, this player looks really good. This player made a good play. This side of the ball looks better than that side. This unit looks really good. This unit has work to do. But often you can learn what kind of team you're going to have on some level based on training camp. Like, I remember I went to a training camp session back during the LOB era. It was after we had won the Super Bowl, but before the LOB had broken up. And I remember watching offensive line versus defensive line drills, and our defensive line was just absolutely whipping the offensive line. And sure enough, when you got to the regular season games, we had a great defensive line, guys like Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill, but the offensive line, not so great. So sometimes you can learn stuff, and that stuff might confirm your priors. That stuff might contradict your priors, but sometimes you can get a feel for how the season is going to go based on what you see in camp. Now, when you're talking about training camp itself, which, like I said, starts tomorrow, there's obviously going to be some stuff that we hope to see. I want to see the offense. I want to get a sense for how similar it looks to Kubiak's offense, under center, play action, heavy tight end, fullback, light on wide receiver stuff. So there is going to be some stuff I want to see there. I want to see what's going on with the right side of the offensive line in particular. Want to see if maybe Bradford is actually going to get pushed a little bit for that starting job on the right guard spot by Stevens. Definitely would like to see what's going on with the running back spot, how much we really trust Tre'Davious Price to occupy various roles in the offense. And, it's always going to be interesting, even if it doesn't really affect this current team that much. What is Jalen Milroe going to do? Is Milroe going to be somebody that we can look at and go, that is a guy who's part of our future after an off season where we did not hear great things? So that's all great. But the main thing, I think the primary thing that we as Seahawks fans and fans of any team are thinking about during camp is, please stay healthy, right? Please, nobody get hurt. And if somebody does get hurt, let it be a relatively minor injury that they can bounce back from. And don't let training camp be the moment where we as fans kind of think to ourselves, okay, this season probably not going to go the way we want it to. I mean, we've already seen it, right? Yesterday we got the Nick Scourton news where he day one of the Carolina Panthers training camp tore his ACL, out for the year. And that's something that can derail your career on some level, right? That's edge rusher. That's somebody who depends on his quickness and get off and ability to beat people with his first step. Tearing his ACL, that's not good. So that's obviously devastating for him and devastating for the team. And if you're a Panthers fan, I don't know how high your expectations were for this year, but this is definitely a hit to your hype, right? And I know this isn't the only injury the Panthers have had in training camp already. They're already beat up, and if you're a Panthers fan, the air kind of goes out of your sails a little bit. The wind gets knocked out of you, and as a fan, you're like, of course, I'm still going to watch and hope they do good, and I'm going to believe that good things can happen. But the stuff like this, it's hard to beat it. So if you're a Seahawks fan right now, you're thinking about, all right, let's work to protect what we have, and let's hope that we don't have to deal with anything like this. And it's the same thing that every other team is hoping for, but that's more important, I would say, than just about anything else, because the things you see in training camp can be deceptive in terms of building your expectations for what will happen during the season. Like, if Sam Darnold has a bad training camp, let's say he looks bad in training camp, I don't think Seahawks fans are going to go, oh, well, he sucks now and he can't play and he's going to have a bad season. People are going to go, well, we saw him play good last year. We know he can do it. We saw him play good the year before. If he has a bad training camp, then that's probably just kind of an aberration or a fluke. We're not going to assume that he's forgotten how to play football and that we're in trouble when the regular season starts. Or just as another example, you could have a player look really good in training camp, and then you get to the regular season and you don't really hear from them. They barely get on the field, and if they do, maybe they don't look good because training camp is a different beast than an actual NFL game. So, bottom line is, as much as we do want to see some of the aspects of this team that we are hoping take steps forward this year or continue their elite play, I think the biggest thing that we want to see is health, because that is not debatable. If somebody tears their ACL, they're out for the season. If somebody tears their Achilles, they're probably out for the season too, right? You can't tear your ACL and then find out a month later, oh, my ACL's fine. I'm just going to go play football again. Like that's it. So that's the main thing. Let's just, let's just light some candles, get a prayer circle going, whatever it is you do. And let's hope these guys can stay upright for the season, because last year, the Seahawks, they had injuries. Players got hurt. But overall, they had a pretty healthy season. And by the time they got to the end of the year, they were mostly healthy. And that is a big reason why they won. That is a big reason why things ultimately went their way. And I believe that there are things this team is doing that is enabling them to remain healthy. But that doesn't mean injuries will not happen. So all we can do is hope. That's all we can do. But yeah, that's really all I got for this one. Training camp just around the corner. We'll see if anybody else gets on the PUP later today, but I think we're in pretty good shape, man. If only 5 players start the off season, or, well, training camp on PUP, we did good. All right, go Hawks. See you guys later.